Hello, everybody. In today's lesson, lesson 3.5, our topic is decimal addition. And our essential question is how can you use base 10 blocks to model decimal addition? All right. And so remember that you can use base 10 blocks to help you find sums of decimals. So in our use of base 10 blocks, a box of 100, we're going to call that a 1. So the in previous grades, we use this to represent 100, a place value of 100. For using decimal models, we're going to use this to represent just one whole. Okay, so just one whole. The 10 rod, we're going to count that as 1/10. Okay, so each of these rods in the 1 is worth 1/10. 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, 7/10, 8/10, 9/10, 10/10, or 1. Okay, so one base 10 rod is worth 1/10. And then a circle or a single square, we're going to count that as 1/100th, right? There would be 100 of these little squares making up one whole. Okay, so even if you don't have base 10 blocks, you can still model decimal addition. So this, I'll show you what the equivalence would be. So one whole, we're going to represent with just a square. Okay, 1/10, we're going to represent with a straight line, a base 10 rod. And 100th, we're going to represent with a circle. Okay, so you'll be able to model each of the numbers with using these symbols. So use base 10 blocks to model the sum of 34 hundredths and 27 hundredths. Okay, so let's write that. So 34 hundredths, that's 3/10, and 4 hundredths. So that's what I've drawn represents 34 hundredths. And we're going to add 27 hundredths. So we need 2/10 and we need 7 hundredths. Okay. Add the hundredths first by combining them. Do we need to regroup the hundredths? Well, let's add up our hundredths. How many do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we have 11 hundredths. So yeah, we have to regroup. Anything greater than 9 goes to the next place value. So 10 or more goes to the next place value. So we have to regroup. So in this case, yes, we have to regroup 10 hundredths and exchange it for an extra tenth. So yes, we do need to regroup. So 7 hundredths plus 4 hundredths equals 11 hundredths, which is more than 9. Okay. We know that in our base 10 system, you can only have up to 9 in any place value. Once you reach past 9, so 10, 11, so on, we regroup. Okay. So now let's add the tenths by combining them. Do we need to regroup the tenths? Well, let's see. So I have the 1 regrouped hundredth, the 10 regrouped hundredths as 1/10. Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus the regrouped tenth. So no, we don't have to regroup. No. 3/10 plus 2/10 plus 1 regrouped equals 6/10, which is less than 9/10. So what do we have? So now record the sum of 34 hundredths and 27 hundredths. So looking at our drawing, what do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 6/10 and 1/100th. Okay, we had 1/100th that was not regrouped. So what do we have? We have 0.61 or 61 hundredths. All right. So what if you combine the tenths first and then the hundredths? Explain how you would regroup. Well, if we added 3/10 plus 2/10, we'd have 5/10. But then when I would go to the hundredths, I would still have 11 hundredths. So I would still have to regroup those by adding 1 extra tenth. So okay, we couldn't say 511 hundredths. That's what it would be if we added the tenths and just put the 11 hundredths after it. Okay, that wouldn't be correct. So we'd have to trade 10 of the hundredths for an extra tenth. So we'd still wind up with 61 hundredths. Okay, so nothing changes. Okay, you'd still need to regroup the hundredths by exchanging 10 hundredths for 1/10, and then add the regrouped tenth to the combined tenths. Right? If you add two decimals that are each greater than 5/10, will the sum be less than or greater than 1? Well, 5/10. That's 1/2, right? So 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1. So if I'm adding two decimals that are greater than 5/10, the sum's got to be greater than 1. So the sum will be greater than 1. Half plus a half equals 1. So if you add two decimals that are greater than 5/10, you must have a sum greater than 1. All right, let's go to page 126. All right, so you can use a quick picture to add decimals greater than 1. It's very similar to what I already showed you with modeling if you didn't have base 10 blocks. So model the sum of 2 and 5/10 and 2 and 8/10 with a quick picture. So here we have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is 2 and 5/10, okay, straight across. And then 2 and 8/10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8/10. Okay, so that's the model. Okay, add the tenths. 5, 10, 11, 12, 13 tenths. Yeah, there's more than 9/10, right? So if there are more than 9/10, we need to regroup. So circle 10/10, cross them out to represent that you're going to regroup, and show the next larger place value. So we're going to trade 10/10 for 1 whole. Okay, all right, add the ones. Okay, so how many ones do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so let's draw our answer. So we're going to have 5 ones. Okay, how many tenths do we have left? We have 1, 2, 3 tenths that was not regrouped. So what do we have? We have 5 and 3 tenths. Okay, now also just keep in mind in this lesson, we're just practicing working on modeling the addition. We'll get to where what we call traditional adding of decimals, where we just line up the decimal point, line up the place value, and just add as we would do normally. Okay, so we'll be doing that as well. But right now we're just practicing modeling the place value. All right, so complete the quick picture to find the sum. Number 1. So 1 and 37 hundredths. 1, 3/10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hundredths. 1 and 85 hundredths. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8/10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hundredths. All right, so let's start with the hundredths and see if we have to regroup. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 hundredths, yeah, we have to regroup. Let's regroup 10 of the hundredths. So we're going to cross those out, and we're going to trade it for a tenth. Okay, so we're left with 2 hundredths. How many tenths do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so we're going to have to regroup the 10 tenths as well. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So let's trade those for 1 whole. All right, so what do we have? I have 1, 2, 3 ones. How many tenths? I have 1, 2 tenths. And how many hundredths? I have 2 hundredths. So 3 and 22 hundredths is what our model shows. Okay, let's do number 2. 9/10. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put a little space. 6, 7, 8, 9. That just makes it easy to combine for regrouping. And 7/10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so the top one is 9/10, and the bottom one shows 7/10. So add the tenths. 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Well, we know we can take 10 tenths and regroup them for a value of 1. So what do we have? We have 1 and how many tenths? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tenths. 1.6. So if we combine our drawing, we had 1 left here and we had 6 tenths. Okay, number 3, 65 hundredths. So I modeled 65 hundredths and 73 hundredths. 73. All right, let's combine the hundredths first. 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 hundredths. Okay, so there's nothing to regroup. Okay, but I know I have to trade 10 of the tenths for 1 whole. Rewrite what we have. We have 1 whole, 3 tenths, and 8 hundredths. So 1.38. 1 and 38 hundredths. Number 4, 1 and 3 tenths. I forgot to show that that's 73 hundredths. This bottom one was 73 hundredths. All right, so we're modeling 1 and 3 tenths. And the second number is 7 tenths. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so 7 tenths. Let's add the tenths. 3, 5, that's 8, right? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I can take all of them and trade them for a 1. What am I left with? 2 ones. So 2.0. Number 5. We have 2 and 7 tenths and 2 hundredths. So this represents 2 and 72 hundredths and 51 hundredths. Okay, you'll notice that I put the hundredths in the same section as my other hundredths. Okay, so we're practicing still keeping the place values separate. All right, so let's add the hundredths. We only have 3. Do we need to regroup? No. How about the tenths? Well, I know I have 2 sets of 5 here. That's 10. And 2 extra, that's 12. So we're going to trade 10 of those tenths for a 1. What are we left with? 3 ones, 2 tenths, and 3 hundredths. So our number shows 3 and 2 tenths and 3 hundredths. So 3 and 23 hundredths. Okay, number 6. Carissa bought 2 and 35 hundredths pounds of chicken and 2 and 7 tenths pounds of turkey for lunches this week. She used a quick picture to find the amount of lunch meat. Does Carissa's work make sense? And explain. All right, so let's see. So her top picture shows 2 and 7 tenths. And her bottom picture shows 2 and 35 hundredths. Okay. Does her picture make sense? Well, she's showing me here that she's regrouping 10 tenths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So she circled all the tenths, exchanged them for one whole. So yeah, her picture makes sense. Yes. So she's showing that she has to regroup the 10 tenths as one whole, and that she would have to add that. So she'd wind up with 5 and 5 hundredths. Okay, number 7. Robin and Jim use quick pictures to model 1 80 and 85 hundredths and 2 and 73 hundredths. So this is Robin's work, 1 and 85 hundredths. So her drawing's a little confusing, but let's see. She has 2, 4, 6, 8 hundredths, 5 hundredths and 3 hundredths, 2, 4, 5, and the 3 hundredths. Okay, so she does have the right amount of hundredths. Tenths, 8 and 7 more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, so 15 tenths, okay? And she has 3 ones, 1 and 2 more. But her work doesn't make sense, does it? I don't see anything regrouped. So no. Okay. So let's see if what I'm explaining makes sense here. She didn't regroup 10 tenths as 1 1. So what she should have done here, right, is taken 10 of those and exchanged them for 1. She didn't do that. So she just added all her tenths, 5, 10, 15, and wrote them right there. Well, you can't do that, right? Okay, it's 15 tenths, which 10 tenths is equal to 1 whole. So she should have taken this 1 and actually given it to the 3. So her answer should have been 4 and 58 hundredths, which we noticed that that's what Jim came up with. So does his make sense? So his is actually a better representation of it, because I clearly see 1 and 800, 1 and 85 hundredths right here. And I easily see 2 and 73 hundredths below it. Okay, so he did a great job showing the different numbers. Okay, Robin kind of smushed them all together. Okay, so I really don't see the different math problem or digits. Okay, so here I see that Jim took 10/10, exchanged it for one whole. He added the ones and got 4. He still has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/10, and he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8/100ths. So yes, it makes sense. So yes, he regrouped and then added it to the other whole numbers. That's what's being shown by this arrow. All right, number 8. Explain how you would help Robin understand that regrouping is important when adding decimals. Well, because she didn't regroup, she got the incorrect answer, right? So why is that important to her? What can you tell her to help her? Well, remember that place value is based on how many per place position. It's based on groups of 10. Right? So she had a group of 15. She needed to regroup. So when you have 10 or more of a place value, you have to regroup. All right, number 9. Write a decimal addition problem that requires regrouping the hundredths. Explain how you know you will need to regroup. Well, there's tons of different possibilities. I don't know. Let's see. 24 hundredths plus 67 hundredths. Okay. Now, how do I know that I have to regroup the hundredths? Well, 4 hundredths plus 7 hundredths is 11 hundredths. So I need to regroup 10 hundredths as 1/10. All right, so that's our lesson on modeling decimal addition. In our next lesson, we're going to work on modeling decimal subtraction. So it's going to be very similar to what we worked on today. All right, so until then, I will see you soon.